All right, so we're diving deep into manifestation today, and more specifically, tackling a challenge I think we can all relate to, negative thoughts. You've been exploring this topic and even sent over some excerpts from Kalaka's. Seems like it might have some practical advice. Anything in there jump out at you right away?
It's interesting. This guide, it really emphasizes just how sneaky negative thoughts can be. It's not, just about having a bad day here and there. It's those almost subconscious thought patterns, the ones kind of always humming in the background. They can really mess with our what was it, vibrational frequency without us even realizing it.
Okay, hold on. Vibrational frequency. No, I've definitely heard that before.
Mm.
But to be honest, I could use a little refresher. How does
Yeah.
this guide define it?
Imagine, think about being a radio transmitter. You're always sending out signals, right? Well, that's kind of what we're doing with our thoughts and emotions all the time. This guide is arguing that basically negative thoughts, they create this low frequency, and get this, that frequency, it might actually repel the good stuff, the positive things we want to attract.
So wait, instead of drawing good vibes, we're accidentally pushing them away with all this negative thinking?
That's the idea. It even connects this to self-fulfilling prophecies. There's a part in there talking about how if we can't telling ourselves we're going to fail, well, we're kind of creating a blueprint for failure, aren't we? On the flip side, if we cultivate those positive thoughts, it can really set the stage for positive outcomes. It all comes back to how much power our subconscious mind has in shaping our reality.
Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not just wishful thinking. Our thoughts are really influencing our actions and then ultimately our outcomes.
Hmm.
Okay, so if we're practically hardwired for some of these negative patterns,
Yeah.
how in the world do we even start to change them?
Well, that's where I think this guide gets really interesting, really practical. It lays out, get this, 10 techniques for transforming those thoughts.
10.
10.
I do love a good action plan. Maybe for now, let's break down just a few, ones we can really, really sink our teeth into today.
Absolutely. One that really stood out to me was the idea of awareness and acknowledgement. It's like the guide suggests hitting the pause button on those automatic negative thoughts. Don't judge them, don't try to force them away, just observe, bring them into your conscious awareness.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that'd be helpful. It's like those moments where you're about to say something you know you'll regret and you catch yourself right before. Mindfulness, but for our thoughts.
Exactly. The guide even mentions journaling, getting those thoughts out of our heads and onto paper. It's like you're saying, okay, negative thought, I see you. Now let's figure out what you're really about.
So less about trying to ignore the problem and more like understanding the enemy, so to speak.
Precisely. And once we understand those negative thoughts, that's when we can start to challenge them and reframe them. The guide gives this great example. Taking the thought, I will never succeed, and shifting it to, I am learning and growing, and success is possible for me.
It really makes you think twice about the things we tell ourselves. Like even just changing the way we phrase things in our own heads can make a difference.
That's exactly what the guide's getting at. It's like our
Yeah.
beliefs, especially the ones we repeat over and over, they really do become our reality, don't they? And it goes beyond just our own thoughts, too. The guide also talks about how important our environment is, who we spend time with, what we surround ourselves with.
Oh, right, right. It's like that saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Exactly. It suggests that we should really think about, like, the information we take in,
Yeah.
the people we hang out with, even the places we spend our time in. Are they lifting us up or dragging us down? It's all about surrounding ourselves with people and places that, that vibrate at the frequency we want to be on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're trying to make positive changes, but you're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's got to be like swimming upstream, right? So much harder.
Totally. And the guide makes this point really well, it's where self-compassion comes in.
Self-compassion. Now, how does that fit into all of this?
Well, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we have to be positive all the time, right? Like banish any negative thought the second it pops up. But let's face it, that's not really realistic, is it?
No, definitely not. We all have those days. We're human. We're going to have negative thoughts, moments of doubt. It's just part of life.
Right. And this guide reminds us that it's okay to just, acknowledge those thoughts and feelings
Hmm.
without judgment. It's about being kind to ourselves, giving ourselves the same understanding and support we would give to, like, a close friend who's struggling.
Oh, I like that. So instead of beating ourselves up for having negative thoughts,
Mhm.
we can just, I don't know, be curious about them, approach them with a little more compassion.
Exactly. It feels a lot healthier that way, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. But I'm curious, where does action fit into all of this?
Yeah.
Like, we can think positive thoughts, try to create a supportive environment, but it can't just be about thinking, right?
You're absolutely right. Positive thinking is important, but it's just one side of the coin. The guide's very clear that we also need to align our actions with what we want to achieve.
Okay, so walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be these huge, massive actions either. Sometimes even just taking small steps in the right direction can make a big difference.
Okay, I'm curious, what are some of those action steps the guide talks about? How does it all come together?
Well, one that stood out to me was this idea of acting as if. So basically, it encourages us to act as if the thing we want to manifest has already happened.
Interesting. So if someone wants to, let's say, manifest a new job, they might, like, update their resume, start networking more, maybe even start dressing the part a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. By aligning our actions with that desired outcome, it's almost like we're sending this powerful message to, I don't know, the universe, maybe even our own subconscious. Like, we're serious about this. And you know what? Sometimes just taking action like that can actually shift our energy. It can raise our vibration, even if we don't quite feel it yet. You know what I mean?
100%. Sometimes just getting started on something, even if it's a tiny step, can totally change my whole mood.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm actually doing something to make this happen. It's not just a thought anymore.
Exactly. It creates momentum. And that's another really important point from this guide. We have the power to create our own reality, right? But it takes both inner work and outer action.
It's not passive. We're not just hoping and wishing. It's about making a conscious effort to design the life we want. I love that.
Me too. And that actually brings us to one of the, I think, most fascinating parts of this whole guide.
Okay, now you really have me curious. Most fascinating part, you said. What is it?
So get this. This guide, it talked about the power of one word. Just one. And that word, yet. Just adding that one little word to our self-talk can make a huge difference.
Yet, okay, I need an example. I'm not sure I'm following.
All right, so let's say you catch yourself thinking, I can't meditate for longer than 5 minutes. Try changing it to, I can't meditate for longer than 5 minutes yet.
Yeah.
Subtle, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of shifts your perspective.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like instead of this being a dead end, it becomes, well, a work in progress. Like, I'm not there yet, but I could be.
Yes, exactly. And there's this great story in about I think he was a sculptor. He was working on this really, really difficult piece, and someone asked him, like, how do you stay motivated with all these challenges? And he said, well, I haven't figured it out yet, but I will.
Wow. See, that's powerful, right?
That
It's
was-
not about, pretending everything is perfect. It's about embracing the journey. And that ties back to what you were saying about self-compassion, too. It's okay to be a work in progress.
Absolutely. We all are. It's about approaching, I don't know, ourselves and even our goals with more, I guess, curiosity than judgment.
I like that a lot. Okay, so big picture for our listeners, the ones who are like ready to dive headfirst into manifestation, maybe tackle some of their own negative thought patterns. What's a one thing, the key takeaway you really want them to walk away with today?
I think more than anything, I hope this deep dive helps people realize that they're not just like victims of their own thoughts. We have the power to choose, to shape our beliefs
Yeah.
and ultimately to create the reality we want. It might not be easy, but it's possible.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, as with any journey, you don't have to do it all at once. Be kind to yourselves, embrace the power of that little word yet, and never ever underestimate what you're capable of. And hey, if you want to go even deeper, I definitely recommend checking out A.O. Solidly. It's full of wisdom and really, really practical advice. Until next time, happy manifesting, everyone.